everyone, my name is Emily.
And I'm Valerie.
And we're here to talk about the real and criminal world of sex trafficking.
Usually, we would think that sex trafficking happens in places like Thailand or Cambodia, but the sad and honest truth is that it's happening in your own backyard and all around the U.S.
Sex trafficking, as defined by the Covering House organization, is the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining of a person for the purpose of a commercial sex act, in which the act performed is by force, fraud, or coercion, or in which the person has not attained 18 years of age.
Punishing Pimps and Johns, Sex Trafficking in Utah's Laws by Michelle Jeffett states that sex trafficking is the second fastest growing industry just behind drug trafficking.
Human trafficking can be highly profitable. Estimates indicate the trafficking brings $32 billion annually to the United States, and the trafficker can make between $4,000 and $50,000 per trafficked person, depending on the victim's place of origin and destination.
An estimated 250,000 children ages 10 to 17 are being commercially sexually abused.
Traffickers typically prey on individuals who are vulnerable in some way.
Some examples of high-risk people include undocumented immigrants, runaways, at-risk youth, and oppressed groups, but truly anyone's at risk.
According to Beginning to Seize the Instrumentalities of Human Trafficking by Scott Davidson Dale, between 2009 and 2010, 195,644 children ran away from home in California. And scholars estimate that between one-third of the children that ran away were lured or recruited into pornography or prostitution. Here are two victims' stories.
I was forced into prostitution when I was 11 years old by a 28-year-old man. I'm not an exception. The man who trafficked me sold so many girls my age his house was called Daddy Daycare. All day other girls and I sat on our laptops posting pictures and answering ads on Craigslist. He made $1,500 a night selling my body, dragging me to Los Angeles, Houston, and Little Rock, and one trip to Las Vegas in the trunk of a car. I'm now 17 and my childhood memories aren't of my family going to middle school or dancing at prom. They are making my own arrangements on Craigslist to be sold for sex and answering as many ads as possible for the fear of beatings and ice water baths.
A young Korean woman was brought into the U.S. when she was in her late 20s. She was told that she had to work at a fake massage business and provide commercial sex in order to pay off an exorbitant smuggling debt. The young woman and 3 other Korean women lived on the premises of the brothel and were clearly monitored by an older Korean woman in her late 50s. The young women were advised online for commercial sex services. The young woman wanted to leave the brothel and did not want to provide commercial sex, but because of her debt to the business owners, she felt she could not leave.
Pimps who are motivated by the opportunity to make money sell women and girls in the commercial sex industry by using numerous methods of gaining control over their bodies and their minds.
It is often difficult to identify a pimp who is not using some form of deceit, lies, manipulation, threats, or violence towards the women they are attempting to control.
Despite common thoughts, pimps often do not offer protection. These images that a pimp romanticize are far from reality and of how pimps actually behave.
Pimps usually take all the money, even brand those under control with tattoos of their names to show ownership.
Many of these behaviors directly meet the definition of force, fraud, or coercion that are essential elements of that crime of human trafficking.
Some types of force they use is beating, burning, sexual assault, rape, and physical restraint.
Specific types of fraud that are used for false promises, deceitful, enticing, and affectionate behavior, lying about working conditions, and selling a dream.
Some coercion tactics they include are threats of serious harm or restraint, intimidation and humiliation, creating a climate of fear, enforcement of trivial demands, occasional indulgences, intense manipulation, emotional abuse, isolation, and creating dependency and fear of independence. This map shows the location of potential human trafficking cases as reported to the National Human Trafficking Resource Center.
While sex trafficking doesn't occur in legal and underground markets, it also can occur in legal and legitimate settings.
For example, as indicated by the Polaris Project organization, common locations of sex trafficking include private homes, hotels, nail salons, restaurants, bars, strip clubs, and fake massage businesses.
Let's take a look at some examples from the Polaris Project that may give us a better idea of what actually happens in these common locations of sex trafficking.
The internet has been identified as the #1 platform that pimps, traffickers, and johns currently use for buying and selling women and children for sex in the United States.
Individuals advertised online for commercial sex are often made to appear that they are working independently when in fact they are victims of sex trafficking, more often than is recognized or understood.
Traffickers often disguise the age of the minor victims of sex trafficking in advertisements. A 15-year-old might be listed as a 19 or 20-year-old, or simply as young.
When the U.S. Craigslist adult service section was available, there was 10 to 16,000 adult services posted a day in the U.S. alone. It was estimated at 40% of the total online sex ads in the U.S. each day at the time.
An FBI investigation found that more than 2,800 ads of prostituted children were posted on Craigslist in 2008 alone.